Baseball is back, and welcome to Scotch Plains Fanwood High School, everybody. Michael Leonard alongside Alex Kingsley. Glad he could join us, and what a terrific matchup we have today in the season opener between the Blue Devils of Westfield and the Raiders of Scotch Plains, both whom are ranked inside the New Jersey top 20.
Yeah, Mike, Westfield is coming off of a record-breaking regular season that featured a school record 19-game win streak, but they had a disappointing postseason with a heartbreaking 4-3 loss to Governor Livingston in the county semifinals and a bitter ending to the season in the sectional semis with an 8-0 loss to North Hunterdon at home.
Yeah, the two best players from that team, Chris Rinaldi and Steve Barmakian, graduated and currently playing D1 baseball at Holy Cross and GW. But this is still a team, Alex, that returns a lot of good talent, and they're led by their senior captain and ace, who we're going to see on the mound tonight, Alex Pancini.
Yeah, Mike, he committed to Marist in the offseason, has a lot of varsity experience under his belt, with 56 strikeouts and 63 innings pitched over the last 2 years. Coach Brewster said that he will be playing second base regularly when he's not pitching, something that we saw from Pancini during his sophomore campaign, but not last year.
And we are underway here in Scotch Plains. Tim Geisel, the senior, on the mound this afternoon for the Raiders.
You got to do the books, huh?
Leading off for Westfield, the senior Kobe Wolf had a pretty good year last year. I got to see him a lot starting in the outfield, and he's making this opening day start at center field. He's quickly down 0-2. 1-1, excuse me. Now it's going to be 1-2. Wolf committed to Gettysburg University over the summer to play D3 baseball for the Bullets. And takes a swing and a miss there as Geisel records a strikeout.
So that was one heck of a cut. I'll tell you what, Mike, you saw him, wasn't even set his feet after he had that swing. You can tell he's trying to swing for the fences there, but tell you what, I don't blame him. He's trying to rock this ball out of the park, especially playing with their rival, Scotch Plains.
So Victor Cruz, another senior and another captain, comes up to the plate, hitting second and starting at third base. And he takes a called strike one down the middle. And Alex, we really saw Cruz develop over the season and had a great junior year.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, remember that he started actually at shortstop. I think he's playing third base today. But he was actually, like we were talking about, he was filling in for Chris Rinaldi last year as he was hurt in the beginning of the season. And then I think they actually moved him back to first base. So he's actually played almost every position in the infield. So he's definitely a versatile player and certainly one heck of a senior we're going to see.
That one's low.
Even though he's not necessarily heading the camera right now, I can tell he looks very comfortable. Like we've been talking about before, lots of experience. He's not behind the camera right now.
And that's a called strike three. So Tim Geisel went 5-2 last season, recorded 2 saves, a below 3 ERA as the Raiders' number 2 starter. Coach Bob Brewster for Westfield in his 35th season, incredible career record of 594, 299 losses, and 3 ties. And now, batting the 3 spot, Alex, it's Chris Wagner, the junior, swings on the first pitch and has himself a base hit.
Nice cut, even though it was late, as you can see, going off of the opposite side of the field. That's his first swing, his first pitch, and he was able to drive into the outfield.
Yeah, his first swing on varsity, a base hit, a 2-out base hit here in the season opener.
Can only get better from here, Mike.
So brings up Owen Kessler, huge part of the Westfield football team, best player on the team really. He'll be playing football at Georgetown next year, Division I FCS. Made the varsity baseball team last year, Alex, but then decided to just focus on football really and quit baseball. But here he is back, one of 2 returning players for Westfield that the other one, Matt LaCourt, took some time off from the sport, but also back for their senior year, just trying to give it another go in their final few months of high school.
Well, Mike, you can certainly tell that both being, I guess you could say second semester seniors, give it a go one last time. Even though, as we can see, baseball's not their primary sport, it's always a fun game to play, and obviously they have the skill to compete at this level.
Wagner with a solid lead at first, 2 outs, and Geisel will throw it over to first.
And Chris is not taking much of a lead here. I can assure you he's not going to be stealing in this pitch or any of them necessarily, but he's got a few feet out there. Nothing too big, however.
1-1 pitch is low. Peter Yarm, a senior captain, behind the plate catching for the Raiders of Scotch Plains. He's headed to Susquehanna to play baseball. Matt LaCourt of Westfield headed to Susquehanna to play basketball. And 2-1 is taken for a strike.
I'm sure just Kessler's just trying to make contact, put it in fair play. I can't see him, trying to make his primary at bat till they hit it out of the park, but I'm sure he wants to hit it out of the infield.
And that's a called strike 3. So Tim Geisel strikes out the side, a base hit from Chris Wagner in between the strikeouts. And no score as we head to the bottom of the first here at Scotch Plains on opening day. Back bottom of the first inning. And it's the right-handed ace we talked about in our opening, Alex Pancini, the senior, going to play Division I baseball for the Red Foxes of Marist next spring. And Alex, as we mentioned in the opening, a lot of varsity experience for Pancini. Was a number 2 starter his sophomore year, number 1 starter last year, but he had that rough opening day start in his junior year against the same Scotch Plains team, and that's a base hit just over the glove of Wagner down the right field line for Canavan.
Yeah, you definitely say he's struggling in his home opener in junior year, but last year, I think it was more just not just the opening day. It was a few of his beginning starts that he really had to get into a rhythm. And once he eventually finds it, he's a very dangerous pitcher to deal with. He's a strike zone kind of guy. He likes to throw the heater. He'll definitely get guys going down with the backwards K because he's got some movement on the balls too.
And they throw it over to Wagner. It gets away. It allows Jake Canavan to go to second, and he's going to go to third with no throw. And a loud roar from the Raider fans. A little miscommunication.
Yeah, you can definitely see Chris is a little startled off that one. It almost seemed like Pancini was also a little hesitant on that throw as well. I think it was all just, you're right, I think it was all just a bit of just a messed up kind of play. Definitely, you're right, miscommunication. And instead they're actually going to keep the runner, you say Canavan, on second for some reason. Usually on that type of play he would actually get third because the way it works is there's an overthrow or something in dead ball territory. They get 2 bases from the original spot of the runner. So I'm not sure exactly what happened on that play.
Fouled off by Peter Warren, the senior shortstop for the Raiders. And this one fouled back behind the plate. Onto the football field, make the count 0-2. Nobody out here in the bottom of the first inning. Scotch Plains comes in ranked 11th in the state, coming off of a 17-12 season in which they lost the Union County title game to Governor Livingston. Their head coach, Joe Higgins, in his 3rd year, 38-20 record in the previous 2 seasons. For Scotch Plains, their big loss, Alex, was the senior starting pitcher, Jack DeVoe, we saw last year on opening day.
Warren, I don't think we mentioned it yet, but a very athletic kid. Played basketball as well. You can see he's very comfortable, like I was saying before, with Cruz. Similar players. Both have lots of varsity experience. Now he's the king of the infield at shortstop. Commanding officer, I guess you could say, in the infield.
That one hit to short. And he's out. It was a wide throw from LaCourt. Wagner had to step off the base, but able to apply the tag. Heads up play from the junior making his first start.
For sure. You definitely know first basemen have big trouble with plays like that where they have to come off the bag. They're too nervous to come off, but the first thing you do, almost like one of the first rules you take as a first baseman, is if you have the slightest thought that you're not going to be able to make the play from the bag, you have to get off the bag. Ball security is one of the most important things in baseball because so many things could go wrong. Not just in not catching the ball, but also just dead balls and loose balls. The worst thing you can have is just the defense throwing the ball around, trying to get somebody out, and then you, the runners, running around the diamond. So definitely a smart play by Wagner to come off. Even though he probably still could have made the play, he was able to apply tag, and Warren was out.
Quick mound visit from Coach Brewster and the Blue Devil infield. As Pancini gets set, it's George Mueller, the Raiders' number 3 hitter. Getting the start at first base is George Mueller. Saw him last year, 2-year starter. And for Westfield in the outfield, you got the junior Jake Leary, as that one's fouled back. From left to right, junior Jake Leary, senior Kobe Wolf, and in right, it's Arthur Chow, another senior. Then from third to first, you have Victor Cruz, Matt LaCourt, Michael Knapp playing second base, Owen Kessler is DHing for Knapp, and then Wagner at first, Pancini on the mound, and the junior Jake Valabera catching behind the plate for the Blue Devils. Some movement on that pitch from Pancini. Makes it a 2-1 count, one away for George Mueller.
If I'm in this situation, I want to get the ball in the outfield. We know we have arms out there in defense for Westfield, but you can score a run off of tagging up. Now, it's a sticky situation because I say if you hit the ball in the left field, there's a good chance Leader's going to try and get it in, and that'll be one heck of a plate to play. But I say if it goes out into right field, then I think you just go for it anyway. I think Kenneth Van would be safe.
And that's going to be ball 4 from Pancini. So now the Raiders threatening here with runners on the corners and one away. Sends up the cleanup hitter and captain, Peter Yarum. Mentioned earlier, going to be playing D3 baseball at Susquehanna University.
Mike, there's not a lot of plays you can have in baseball you can have like in basketball per se, but definitely one of the times you can actually have is with the first and third situation. So I'm interested to see what Coach Bobby Brewster has in his back pocket, see what he's trying to pull with this one.
They throw back to first and safe.
Because if the runner goes, I think you said Mueller, if he goes to second, a bunch of different things could happen. Valbera can either throw to LaCourt and try to cut it off to try and get the guy at home. Valbera can just throw and try and get the guy at second for an out. Valbera can also throw it to Pancini, again for another cutoff, or he can just keep it and fake it. Or also give it to Wagner.
And there's a called strike, so make it 0-2.
A bunch of situations you can have here, so I want to see that runner go and see what Coach Brewster has for his team to do.
Right down the middle, and the throw gets away from LaCourt at second, and that's going to bring home one run for the Raiders as they strike first here on opening day.
We've talked about it before, especially last year with Valbera. He's definitely an athletic kid. Certainly an incredible baseball player. Also played football. Could be a star for the team next year. But that was a play I've never seen him make before. Usually he's on point with those throws. Usually just don't see him make mistakes in the first place.
Mancini really taking his time out there, stepped off a couple times. And hit up the middle to Knapp at second, makes the routine play over to first.
No, I can definitely see, just off of watching just 1/2 inning of Mancini pitching, he's definitely shortened up his windup. You know, it's definitely not as long as he used to be. He used to have a full extension with the leg, I think even with his left arm. He's definitely shortened up. He's definitely doing something different than that we haven't seen this year. So I want to see if it'll change anything different for the rest of the season.
Curveball for strike one on the first pitch to the at-bat of Matt Fox. Senior first baseman with some varsity experience. Scotch Plains returning 7 starters, reason why NJ.com has him in the top 20. And they, as you said, Alex, last year, back at Westfield at Bob Brewster Memorial Field, Raiders won 11-1 on opening day, but Westfield would go on to have a much better season at 22-6.
Yeah, I mean, they said there was definitely a point, like a turning point. They definitely turned it around.
And we saw the school record 19-game win streak in the middle of the season, and then during that 19-game win streak, Westfield took care of Scotch Plains right here on this field.
I mean, for that streak, it almost seemed like they forgot to lose. You know, it was a lot of time that they had. A majority of the season, they were just winning and winning and winning. It was pretty awesome to see the school record as well.
And that one's foul, liner. Good thing it went to the right of the bleachers because that could have been scary. Makes it a 2-2 count, and we have George Muller on third base trying to get that second run in for Scotch Plains here in the opening inning. And that one gets away, and Muller's coming home. And the throw is not in time, way late. And George Muller comes in home after the wild pitch to make it 2-0 Scotch Plains.
Just sloppy baseball, you know. I mean, I could definitely see Valbera hit off his glove. In my opinion, in any situation, in the field, trying to make a catch or trying to make a play in the infield, if the ball hits your glove, it's an error. He definitely should have made that catch.
So switch it to a pass ball.
Yeah, I still believe he should have made the catch, but you know, so far, a lot of pitches from Pancini as well. You can definitely see this is.
And he walks Matt Fox, his second walk of the game for Pancini.
He's struggling a little bit more. Coach Brewster should have used the mound visit about now instead of before.
So the right fielder, number 18, Colin McAlden, comes to the plate and takes that one just high. Pitcher Tim Geisel on deck. 6th batter of the inning for the Raiders. Fox gets back in there in time. That one's high, so make it 2-0. And Alex, now we get to see that mound visit. As will be assistant coach and pitching coach Brian Sloan on to the field, and along with Valbera, talk it over with the senior captain, Pancini. And going back to Coach Brewster, his 35th season as the head varsity baseball coach here at Westfield High School, 594 career wins. Just incredible legacy he's left.
For sure. I mean, this program is much different than it used to be. Lots of talent going through the younger grades, and I think just the Westfield Baseball Association, WBA, is just much better than it has been in the past years.
There's a strike from Pancini.
The kids are getting a lot more competitive. The game is just changing itself. The talent's getting much better.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Division I players, couple sectional titles with the Murray brothers, AJ and Mike. Mike at Wake Forest, then the San Francisco Giants organization, AJ Georgia Tech, and now in the Minnesota Twins farm system. And AJ's got a chance, if he continues his success, to make it to the major leagues one day. And that foul ball goes right onto the football field behind us where the girls across is having a game. Ball's flying everywhere here today. 2-2 count to McCaldon. Check swing, and it's a called strike 3. The Raiders get 2, but Pancini able to get out of the jam. 2-0 SPF after 1. Jake Valabera, the junior, leading the inning off for the Blue Devils. Lefty had 2 home runs in his sophomore year. Really impressive, and saw a lot of time at DH and first base, Alex, because the senior, Devin Anderson, was behind the plate most of the year.
Yeah, he was one terrific player. One of the tri-captains, actually. And Valabera, as we know, is just a fantastic talent, but you can't let him start over the senior one of the senior tri-captains.
Good pitch from Geisel, but it's just inside.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it looked good
2-0.
from here. I definitely saw the movement on it. Came up and down. It came even inside a little bit. Nice little breaking ball. And Valabera ahead right now. Again, some of these guys just look super comfortable in the batter's box.
And that one low in the dirt for ball 3.
Valabera's got a hitter's count here. Guys has got to pitch strike to him. Maybe something that Valabera can hit at, because if he doesn't, he got a man on first.
And taken for high for ball 4. So the Blue Devils have a leadoff runner. Second base runner of the game for Westfield had first inning base hit from Chris Wagner. And out from left to right, we have left to right is Downey, Canavan, and McCaldon. For Scotch Plains, third to first, George Mueller, Peter Warren, Sam Shatelik, and that's a base hit. For the Blue Devils, it's Alex Pancini. And now first and second for Westfield with nobody out.
Runner scoring position here. Westfield has a chance to get back in this game. You know, it is only the second inning. We talked a lot about Westfield just slightly falling apart there in that last half inning, but LaCourte can definitely turn his career around if he can have a nice base hit to the outfield. Because I would say, best case scenario, Valabera scores and Pancini goes to third.
And we also mentioned our opening how Pancini last year just strictly #1 starting pitcher ace as Matt LaCourte, and his first time playing baseball in over 2 years. Tried to lay a bunt down on his first at-bat back, but foul. So 0-1 to LaCourte.
You could tell there that with the bum mic that the Blue Devils is definitely just desperate to get that run in.
Mm-hmm.
He would be hitting away if they really want to take the lead back. Instead, they just want the run, which is definitely the smart move. You want to have security.
Geisel throw back to second. And it's George Mueller, Peter Warren, Sam Shatelik, and Matt Fox rounding out that infield for the Raiders from third to first. Tim Geisel, the senior, on the hill, and Peter Yarn behind the plate.
Yeah, we saw coming to first before with Wagner as the third base runner for Westfield.
That one in the dirt. Runners stay put, though. Good play by Yarum.
Yeah, Geisel's got a great move. Lefties definitely have the advantage because they're able to face first base. And, I remember when he threw back and Wagner was on first, it was just a really great move. And that's why lefties are just so dominant in baseball games like this. You may see righties make the play at third, but lefties are able to do it at first.
Geisel stepped off for a second. Nobody out. Westfield has runners on first and second. LaCourte takes that one for a called strike 2. Valabera had the leadoff walk, and then Pancini the base hit. Brewster is the third base coach for Westfield, and Sloan first base. Foul tipped, and he caught it, but they're actually going to call interference. That is a huge call, Alex. One way you have first and second with one out, but instead interference called on Peter Yarum, and now the Blue Devils are going to have bases loaded with nobody out here in the second inning.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely game-changing play here. I mean, definitely big opportunity for Westfield's next batter. And you can definitely see that this can change things very quickly. Looks like Jake Leary's up there. He can have a nice big boom in his first at-bat. If he could just put the ball in the outfield, basically if he could just make contact, it'll be pretty big for this Westfield team.
So here's Jake Lear, the junior. Started last year as a sophomore on junior varsity. He had a great year. JV team lost a tough one. We got to call it in the county final at Kane versus GL. Now his first varsity game and his first varsity at bat. We saw Chris Wagner in his first varsity at bat get a base hit. That was with the bases empty. Great opportunity for the junior Jake Leary. Quit football to focus on baseball. Really improved a lot. You would love to see him get a big knock here. 0-1 pitch in the dirt. Good stop by Yarum.
Yeah, he's definitely a determined kid. You can see he puts a lot of heart and soul into this game. And, whenever I talk to him, I would say majority of the time the conversation is about baseball. Baseball is his life, and he really enjoys it. And it really translates on the field because he plays really well.
1-1 to Leary. Taken, called strike 2. Valabera at third, Pancini at second, and Matt LaCourte at first. Westfield trailing by 2. Base hit down the line, line drive down the line, I should say. Could give him the lead here, clear the bases. And a line drive from Leary, but right at the center fielder. And nobody able to tag for Westfield. Didn't have my eye on third base. Not sure if Valabera thought that it was going to fall and he was running, or just Brewster didn't send him there. Have to look back at the replay.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to go, but then if you have a second of hesitation in a play like that, you just can't go. And if you do go, then there's no way you're going to be safe.
And that was terrific contact right there from Leary, but just hit right at the center fielder.
Yeah, this isn't T-ball where you make contact is fantastic. At this, at this level, contact is great, but it's where you hit it's most important. Just because you make contact goes into the outfield is great, but when you hit directly to center fielder, it's not the best situation. Yes, I agree he made great contact, but at this level, that just won't fly.
So 1-out count to the senior number 9 hitter Arthur Chow. Played JV as a junior last year, and now getting the opening day start on varsity. Starting at right field is Chow. And he'll take that one and make it 1-1.
I didn't see anything wrong with that one. Now he's a hitter, and I'm sure next time that pitch comes, Arthur's going to be ready to drive it.
About 50 degrees, a little bit cloudy. Nice breeze coming here at Scotch Plains. Perfect day for baseball. It was scheduled for Saturday, but it rained out. And Chow hit weakly to third, and it can't be contained by Muller, and that'll bring home Valabera. So Westfield cuts the lead in half.
Yeah, you know, Mike, that's not the most ideal play, but it gets a run, and I can definitely see that Muller was definitely frustrated. I mean, just by the naked eye, I think that play would have been close at first. At home, just by the way that the ball was dribbling towards third base. But anyway, it's a run, and that would be an error on his part. Usually you're taught, at least I was taught at a younger age, you don't touch the ball unless it's completely dead. In that case, it was just a bit mishap, but it cost him a run.
It's an RBI for Arthur Chow. So back to the top of the order, it's Kobe Wolf, struck out swinging to lead things off this afternoon. Geisel in his first jam of the game, hit to short. Scotch Plains gonna turn two, and no, it's gonna be called safe. Great hustle by Kobe Wolf, and he ties up the game.
He's definitely a speedy cat out there. We see him at center field and rounding the bases. He is one of the fastest kids on this team, and you know, even though it was a hopper coming into first base, he was still in there by a few steps. And again, another RBI. Get the out that second. But now we have a tie ball game. Victor Cruz has a man on third, and definitely with his opportunity, put the game back into Westfield's hands.
That's as about close you're gonna see to a traditional 6-4-3 double play in high school. Doesn't happen too often. Scotch Plains almost got it. Geisel will throw back over to Fox at first. Keep an eye on Kobe Wolf, the speedster. Had double-digit stolen bases last year.
You know, these lefties, they just perfect the pickoff, and it's so good. One of the best pickoff pitchers of all time was actually a Yankee. His name was Andy Pettit. Pretty good Yankee great. I think if my knowledge is correct, he might have the most pickoffs in MLB history. Definitely had one of the best pickoffs moves of all time. And these lefty pitchers like to learn from each other because the moves are very similar, because if they keep the move similar to what their windup will be, it's a deadly, deadly pickoff move.
And Kobe Wolf just stole second bases. Had 10 stolen bases last year, and his first one there wasn't even a throw from Yarum. So the Blue Devils with runners at second and third. Called strike on Cruz.
You can definitely tell Cruz wants a hit. And he wants a hit badly. He wants to score those 2 runs in. That'll put Westfield up 2 runs. Should be a fantastic situation for Pancini. Take a little burden off his shoulders, and maybe he could pitch like he was at the end of last season.
Two-one count, 2 outs, and runners on second and third for Cruz. And it's a called strike 2.
That was the pitch to drive, you know. Nice heater in there for Geisel. I really thought that Victor was going to turn on that one, bring it into left field, but instead we got 2-2, 2 outs, 2-2 in the second inning.
A lot of 2s up there. This is the matchup Victor Cruz wants. 2 men in scoring position, lefty on righty, low pitch, and Cruz swing and a miss to end the inning, but the Blue Devils tie it back up at 2 apiece. Bottom of the second, and first pitch is low. Tim Geisel leading off the inning for the Raiders. So quick transition there for Geisel, Alex. Just got out of the jam, gave up 2 earned runs, and now he's got to come and lead off the inning, and try to get him back and help him himself out.
And nothing like what you can see in the majors is when a pitcher gives himself his own run support.
Something we saw yesterday from San Francisco's Giants ace and slugger and Major League Baseball home run leader, Madison Bumgarner, who hit 2 homers yesterday.
Mike, it was actually the first time a pitcher has ever hit 2 home runs in an opening day game. So not only was he making history with his home run mark, he was making MLB history.
2-2 count on Geisel. And as a pitcher, you never like giving up hits to opposing pitchers. That one just upstairs, make it a full count. First full count of the day, I believe.
Geisel definitely working Pancini here.
And that's a called strike 3. Second strikeout of the day for Alex Pancini. He's got him back to back.
You know, one of the things that batters always like to try and do is work the pitcher, because the batter can stand there all day trying to hack at something, but the pitchers don't have all day. The stamina, you know, they can only pitch so many pitches. So one thing that batters always usually try to do is always try to expand the amount of pitches per at-bat, because that tires the pitcher out. Usually gives, you know, the opposing team an opportunity to put balls in play, especially when the pitcher's much more wild.
A nasty curveball right there from Pancini. Probably the best pitch he's thrown all afternoon to make it 0-2 on the second baseman, Sam Shatelik.
Yeah,
and
the
that
last
one just misses.
And the last pitch, he was definitely able to utilize the fact that he's a righty and he's facing righty, so the ball's going to come at it's going to look like the ball's going to come at the batter, but instead it's going to curve in for a strike.
And a swing and a miss. So 3 consecutive strikeouts from Pancini.
And this is the Pancini that everybody wants to see. The strikeout pitcher that is very dangerous for opposing batters. And just these Raiders, if Pancini keeps this up, the Raiders are going to have a very tough time putting the ball in play.
Brings up Pat Downey on the first pitch, hit hard to short. And LaCourte's throw is in the dirt, and Wagner couldn't scoop it up there. So that's the second time we've seen it. Just not a perfect throw. LaCourte trying to shake off the rust. Hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah, it's certainly been a while. You know, as we talked about, he as well, a very athletic kid, you'd think he'd make that play. But like you said, he hasn't played baseball competitively like this in just about 2 years. So definitely get the kinks out soon, I hope.
Downey's going, and the throw is in time. They got him. Good tag from Michael Knapp and good throw from Valabera. So the error doesn't mean much for the Blue Devils, and they get out of it as we head to the 3rd inning on opening day from Scotch Plains. Top of the 3rd, Chris Wagner leading off for Westfield, had that nice base hit in the 1st inning and his first career at bat. See how he could follow it up here. Hit deep to left, but it's caught.
Again, none of those situations where
Play made by Downey.
Listen, great contact, but you just gotta find the gap a little easier, you know. hit right, almost directly to the left fielder. If Chris is able to just hold on a little longer, maybe hit a little later or even hit a little earlier when in a gap or an easy stand-up double.
So Owen Kessler DHing for Michael Knapp. Knapp playing second. Kessler struck out looking in his first at bat. And now Yarm will come and talk to his fellow captain, Tim Geisel. Now, so what do you think Yarm's telling his pitcher right now?
I think he's just telling him to stay calm, you know. He might, you know, the batters that he's facing may be hitting him, but they're going right to his fielders, and he's got his fielders right behind him to make plays. So he's just got to believe in his catcher to make the right pitches, and his fielders will do the rest.
And that's a line drive, base hit up the middle for Owen Kessler.
Yeah, as we know, that came cracking off the bat. You know, certainly a lot of power there, as we know from his football career. And now he's just got to transition it into his base running.
It's his first varsity hit, I believe.
Kessler taking a bigger league than I thought he would. As you know, Geisel has that pretty nasty move. You know, most of the time, you know, coaches, as they've been doing this for a very long time, can tell usually when the pitcher's going to go back to first. A lot of it has to do with the eyes. If they're pointing to the catcher, they're usually going to go there. If they keep staring at the first baseman, they're most likely going to go back.
Valabert hits this one weakly on the third base side, and again George Moore tries to barehand it, and for the second straight time he can't make that play. We saw it earlier in the game.
He wasn't able to make the play, but I'll tell you what, Jake was moving on that run. You know, you're told at a very young age, when you make contact, you need to start running. You know, always see in the major leagues, you see these guys, they make contact, and it can go either way, fair or foul, and they just kind of stand there and wait for something to happen. So definitely just keeping his head down, run all the way through first base. He almost, was nearly in the outfield for how far he was going, and he gets an infield single.
We see a bunt from Pancini, and he is safe. Off the bag was the first baseman, Matt Fox.
And now we have another bases loaded situation for the Blue Devils, as we saw before. And just so many opportunities for this Westfield team. You know, we saw a lot last year was Westfield wasn't doing a very good job of hitting their runners, and most of the time they would probably average in a game probably 5 or 6 guys on base. They were left on base, so they just need to do a better job this year. I think something they can improve on is hitting these batters in. If these guys are getting on base, let's drive them home.
And again, great hustle. Pancini after the bunt, charging down the line and beating out the throw. LaCourte fouls it off.
Yeah, and as we were talking about with Kessler, same with LaCourte, he knows where he's going for his future, so he's able to kind of just relax. College-wise, he's able to kind of just relax and kind of take this season day by day. He knows where he's going for school. As he knows where he's going, he kind of could take a step back in the classroom as well. He's able to kind of really focus on his senior baseball career.
I think he would like to make up for those two throws from short with a big hit here. And he takes that one high for ball one. And that one's outside.
LaCourt definitely ahead here with the 2-1 count. Geisel does not want to get behind in a 3-1 count. I can assure you that, especially with the bases loaded.
One away in the inning. Pancini at first, Valabera at second, and Owen Kessler at third. Tied up at 2 in the top of the third. 2-1 pitch to LaCourt is taken for a called strike 2.
You know, I'll tell you what, Mike. Geisel is definitely doing a good job of just focusing on the batter. As you can see, at first, Fox is not on first, and Mueller is not on third. So he's able to just definitely just focus on the batter instead of trying to get the guy picked off at first. This way, maybe he's also able to focus a little better and try just pitch a better at-bat, try getting out. Try to get some here because bases loaded is very dangerous. Only with 1 out. If there's a hit in the outfield, I can assure you there's going to be a tagging up situation for Kessler.
Jake Leary on deck, Arthur Chow in the hole. And first LaCourt stepped off, and now he'll step out again. Big at-bat here. Some movement in the Scotch Plains bullpen. Big pitch from Geisel, and LaCourt swing and a miss. Big strikeout pitch from Geisel.
Again, big opportunity for Jake Leary here. I know he wanted it last time. He probably wants it even more now to avenge what he did last time. And not only will he be able to avenge his last at-bat, but he'll also put runs on the board for the Blue Devils, put them back on top.
Check swing, and they say goes around. Bases loaded and 2 outs for the junior Jake Leary. Trying to give his team the lead, as mentioned earlier. Had the same situation, not 2 outs though, in his first at-bat, and had a good piece of contact, but right to the center fielder.
Yeah, I could tell Leary's a bit nervous. Just moving a little jittery, but I could tell he really wants to pound this one.
And it's popped up foul behind the fence and just stopped right there. That's a result of the heavy downpour we've seen the past couple days.
Yeah, this hasn't been the best weather, especially baseball weather, so the minute that ball came to the ground, it just stopped.
Yeah, it definitely affects. You see a big double in the gap or something, that ball's most likely not going to continue to roll to the fence. It's going to stop, make it easier for the outfielders.
Especially with this overcast, you know, the ground is going to absorb a lot of the contact with the ball.
And Leary again, really good contact deep in left field, but it's caught. So that ends the side. The Blue Devils leave the bases loaded. Can't get anything here in the third inning. Bottom of the third here in Scotch Plains. And fouled off. From the leadoff hitter, Jake Canavan. Had a base hit, came around and scored in the first inning. That one hit to short. LaCourt this time makes the play, and he's retired.
LaCourt, I can definitely tell, was much more comfortable in that position. He was able to step into the ball, have a little nice hopper. and then was able to make the throw and drive it through. You saw, I don't know if you saw, but he made a nice follow through, and that definitely shows that he was definitely set up correctly in the correct position to make the best throw he could. And heck of a throw right to the chest of Wagner.
Peter Warren takes a called strike one. Warren had the first inning ground out to short, and then LaCourte's throw was a little off, and that was the play where Wagner made the nice tag on Warren. George Muller's on deck. Warren, another one of those baseball and basketball players for the Raiders. Pitch from Pancini's low. Good movement on that one. Bring the count to 2-2. Warren thought about it about a quarter of a check swing and brought it back to make the count full. With one away here in the bottom of the third inning between two top 20 teams and breaking ball from Pancini's low. So Peter Warren's on with a one-out walk.
A little bit of baseball terminology here. With that high pitch, that could be considered high cheese, and most of the time you see a lot of hitters. They don't know why, but they always fall for the high pitches. Sometimes when I would hit it in my younger years, I would hit it because I guess you think it's high, you're gonna hit it high. I'm not really exactly sure, but people fall for that all the time.
Check swing for Muller.
After that one in the third, you can definitely see Valverde was alert and ready because you saw Warren. He's taking a pretty hefty lead there at first. Smart decision for Pancini to throw. Maybe it'll scare him off a little more. Warren, like I said before, definitely and continues to have this big lead, and as he does, he goes.
Hit weakly over the first base side. Pancini runs over, and the underhand toss to Wagner to retire George Muller. So 2 outs in the inning. Good hustle from Pancini to make that play. Brings up the cleanup hitter, Peter Yarm, grounded out to second base in the first inning.
Great pitch. As I was talking about before, Mike, Pancini does a very good job of utilizing the righty-on-righty matchup, knowing that there's going to be only, unless he's got a screwball, which he probably doesn't, the only way it's going to curve is going to curve at the batter, then come back into the zone.
That one upstairs for ball one. Yes, his fastball hit 90 miles an hour. Plays the Diamond Jacks in the off season, in the off high school season, and should make a fine addition to the Marist rotation next year. Up in Poughkeepsie, New York, they're trying to throw back to second. Gets away from Knapp, but runner stays put. Peter Warren told to stay at second.
Yeah, definitely quick to get up. I don't know if you saw Mike, but the minute that ball was in the outfield, he stood right back up and was about to go to third. Obviously, it would have been a very, very close play at third, but you could definitely tell he wanted it.
Westfield's got one of their strongest throwers out there, and looks like that was a very close throw right there. But Kobe Wolfen Center, he's got a laser, so that might have been the reason Warren decided to stay. That last one, though, very close pickoff at second. And Warren again with a big lead this time. Gets away from Valabert, and Warren just jog over to third. Looks like he was going to steal.
You know, there's definitely a worse time to make that mistake. You know, there is 2 outs, even though there's a man on third. Getting this out here would eliminate the runner at third with the changing of the side. So, yeah, I mean, again, you never want to have a wild pitch, but this is not the worst case you can have that in.
Yarm just got a piece of that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes for the senior Yarm. He's got Warren at third base. That run would give Scotch Plains the lead. Raiders scored 2 in the first, none in the second. Trying to take the lead here. Both dugouts getting into it. Big pitch coming up from Pancini. Just missed on the outside.
Yeah, we can't see left or right, but high or low, that looked pretty good. Maybe catch the end of the zone, but wasn't good enough for the home plate official.
Full count, 2-away, runner on third, and just outside again. So Yarm will take his walk.
Yarm does a very good job, as we were talking about before, of understanding that Pancini has struggled and is somewhat vulnerable, and was able to extend the length of that at-bat, putting more pressure on Pancini and also putting more pressure on his arm physically. More pitches, less amount of time he's going to be able to stay out there.
Matt Fox steps in. Walked in his first appearance. Runner's going, a hit and run.
Another.
Yarm will have to come back, though, fouled off behind the plate.
Yeah, another first and third situation. You know, I was talking about before, back I think in the first inning. A lot of things you can do with it. So as Yarm goes, there's almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things you can arguably do with the ball. If I'm Pancini, I just want to get this out. You know, if Fox gets on base, whether he walks or gets a hit, a runner's going to score or it's going to be bases loaded. Not an ideal situation.
Westfield keeping Yarm close at first with back-to-back looks over there. And here's a third one. That one was the closest of them all. The first 2, Yarm back with ease.
He's certainly getting tested here. Pancini is certainly not exactly completely focused on the runner.
Yarm's going. And Pancini cuts the throw off to avoid Warren coming home. Smart decision. If you're wondering why he cut it off there.
Yeah, another.
Don't want that game-leading run coming home.
Yeah, because as we saw last time, even though Valbert was able to make the play at second, there was that runner at third that could have easily scored if that runner wasn't out. Because as we saw before, that runner we thought was there. I think it was a consensus between 2 of us that the reason why he was called out was because the runner must have been off the bag. So doesn't matter now. He's got it. Fox has a hitter's count because Pancini's got to throw a strike here, 3-1.
Down the middle to make it a full count. Something you see, Alex, a lot in youth baseball. You have runners on the corners, have the guy from first steal because a lot of times the catcher will throw it over to second, and then especially in Little League, just an easy play for the runner on third to come home and score. And we have another walk from Pancini. He was not happy with the call. Loads the bases for Scotch Plains here in the bottom of the third with 2 outs.
Yeah, I agree with the blue, but It doesn't matter now. We got bases loaded. Mancini, hopefully now that nobody's guarding first, second, or third, can just focus on the batter and solely the batter instead of worrying about the runners.
Peter Warren is at third base, Peter Yarm at second, and Fox at first. Colin McCaldon, the right fielder, struck out looking his first time at bat. Just took a called strike there. Still knotted at 2. Mancini definitely working that pitch count. Could be his final inning of work, and that's a liner. That's going to fall. 1 run comes in. And make it 2 runs. A 2-run single from Colin McCaldon, the right fielder, to give Scotch Plains a 4-2 lead.
Yeah, that's a varsity hit right there, right in the gap where Kobe Wolf was able to field it nicely and get it in. You know, making sure that Fox is a score for a 3rd run in the play. So, the Blue Devils are now down 2 runs, still have the 2 outs, and I think all Mancini can think about right now is just trying to get an out as soon as possible, trying to get out of this little rally that Scotch Plains is able to create for themselves.
Runners now in the corners for the Raiders. Brings up Tim Geisel, the pitcher, and fouls that one back. They get it back at Wagner, and he got him. Great throw from Mancini over to first. Colin McCaldon just had a little bit too big of a lead, couldn't get back in time. Heads-up play from Mancini, but the Raiders regain the lead off a 2-run single from McCaldon. 4-2 your score after 3 innings here on opening day. Tim Geisel on for his 4th inning of work, and has a called strike on Arthur Chow. Scotch Plains leads 4-2 here in the top of the 4th inning. Raiders come into the year ranked 11th in New Jersey, and Westfield ranked 17th in the state. Both those rankings on NJ.com. Arthur Chow leading off the inning. Takes that one low for make it a 1-2 count.
Yeah, you know, I haven't really expressed this yet really in the game, but simple 1-2, 0-2 count. You definitely have to be aggressive. You have to expand your personal strike zone because what you may think is a ball, the blue might think, and you're going to be called down for backwards K.
That one hit down the line, foul on the ground.
That could probably be the worst play in baseball, or at least the most disappointing play that a coach may feel is going down looking. Because you didn't even give it an effort in the last strike. And the coaches hate to see that.
Chow hits a hard ground ball, but good play by Geisel, who takes his time with it and flips over first to retire Chow.
Certainly a great play that he made. Had very good reflexes. I actually thought that ball didn't even hit the ground, but it did. I think it hit just in the dirt right before the grass had started to grow, and that's just a heads-up play. You know, you don't really see those kinds of plays, and you only kind of see them in the majors because pitchers are just not that. I'm sorry, they just don't have those reflexes, and he was able to make that great play.
Got to be careful. They got a little, almost a little too casual as he was walking over, sort of looking at Chow, and then flipped it over, made it a little bit closer than it had to be. He's got an 0-1 count on the leadoff hitter, Kobe Wolf. Fielder's choices last time for Wolf. Struck out to lead the game off, and big swing and a miss from Wolf makes it 0-2.
I could definitely tell that was a late swing, all right. He had finished swinging, the ball was already in the arm's glove. So I think Colby just definitely has to get back into position and try to swing this one and put it in play.
Wolf hits this one deep left field, going back, and that ball is out of here. A solo homer for Colby Wolf clears the fence and cuts this to a 4-3 lead. Had an inside the park homer last season, and in the season opener, Colby Wolf goes yard.
That was an awesome hit. A little bit high in the zone, was able to keep it where it was and just kind of turn on it and really give it a nice smack. You know, I was talking about, I think he really just wanted to drive it on that shot, and he certainly did, clearing that left field fence. And I don't know if you can see from the camera, but the left field fence is definitely much higher, almost 2 times the amount of in the right field fence. So definitely much harder to do in left field than it is right field, and he certainly cleared it.
And that was a shot about 300. That fence is in the power alley over there, about 340 feet. Tough play from Geisel. Had to make an off-balance throw to retire Victor Cruz. And he said that fence a lot higher than at Westfield, and a lot higher than the right field fence here. But definitely a lot more in compared to Westfield, when basically the Blue Devils played a major league size field.
Yeah, just off of memorization, I know.
Outfield's 408.
Yeah. I
Out here, dead center, only 365. So, huge difference. But that was still a shot from Wolf. And then some. They got to go get that ball and give it to him. Brings up Wagner, 1 for 2 on the day. Flew out to left field, and there's a shot. Foul ball.
Yeah, it had some curve on it. It was definitely a late swing coming off of his opposite end of where he was facing, and it kind of curved in. It was actually pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I think what we could see is, I think if I'm correct, I think that was Mrs. Ortiz out there, David Ortiz, the backup catcher on the team.
Drew Ortiz.
Drew Ortiz, and
they call him Big Poppy, but not the real Big Poppy. Wagner lines this one hard to second, but a routine play to retire the side. But Colby Wolf gets Westfield 1 run closer with a solo shot that clears the left field fence 4-3 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. So Pancini still on the hill after 4 earned runs in 3 innings. We'll see how much longer he stays out here. Pitch count definitely high on opening day. Blue Devils have a busy schedule coming up too. They got tomorrow, will be back at Bob Brewster Field for the home opener. Westfield taking on perennial powerhouse in the Cougars of Cranford. Thursday, Westfield takes on the Farmers of Union. That game away at 4 o'clock. This one popped up in fair territory and caught by Jake Leary.
Yeah, that was a pretty good hit. I would say it was about maybe 275, 270 feet. But Leary, he's very quick on his feet. He's almost like the next Kobe. He's almost like next Kobe in a sense where he got there and he was just waiting for the ball to come down to him. Definitely getting under it instead of, you'll see sometimes in the majors or even at the high school level, you'll see that some of these guys are just kind of lazy and don't get under the ball.
Yeah, certainly not the case from Leary. You're always going to see hustle and lightning quick out there in left field. Brings up Sam Shatelik, struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. Big cut from Sam right there to make it 1-2. Patrick Downey had the big, Patrick Downey on deck. Two count now. Good eye from Shatelik. Make it a full count with one away. And Shatelik draws a walk from the full count. And now for Westfield, we get to see Corey Hiltz warming up. So expect him to come in relief for Pancini at some point. Pretty surprising though, Alex, because we're used to Hiltz being a starter.
Yeah, we know he's pretty accurate, and his speed is pretty fast. But Pancini's really when he's at his best, he's really kind of got it all. And again, Corey's he's only a junior. He's got a whole nother year, really 2 years ahead of him, to improve on his pitching abilities. And also, I guess I've seen before in the past he's played. I'm sure he's played at first before, at a very young age. But I think he's just gonna stick to pitching.
And Hiltz has that year varsity experience under his belt last year. Made a couple starts. It's dropped about 20, 25 degrees since the time we got here to right about now. Another throwback at first. Game was scheduled for past Saturday at 11 a.m. Of course, got rained out. It's supposed to be today at 4, but this Westfield team showed up at about 3:55 today. Not sure what happened with the bus. So didn't get started until about 4:30. And Downey just got a piece of that one, fouled it off. Two-two count as that pitch taken. Unlike football, Alex, me and you we gotta stick it out here in this cold weather. No booths in high school baseball, except for Kane University, Sedgwick County semis and finals. That foul ball kind of went right over us. And strikeout from Pancini. Got down, he's swinging at the high cheese, as you like to call it, Alex.
Yes, as we saw, I thought Colby Wolf's pitch that he hit in the home run was actually a bit kind of high, but it didn't matter because he drove it much farther than it was high.
Shatelik's still at first. First time we haven't seen a Scotch Plains runner advance, really. We've seen a lot of stolen bases off pass balls, wild pitches. But doing a good job keeping Shatelik at first. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. This one popped up. That one very dangerous. Almost the past couple times it's gone behind us. It's gone onto the field where the lacrosse girls were on the complete opposite side. That time they were right there. And that would hurt.
Yeah, these hitters are definitely hacking at Pancini right now. Most of them have been late, because most of these batters are righty. And I'll tell you what, it's getting pretty close to these lacrosse players.
Yeah. But one thing we're seeing, most of the ones that are getting away are big high pop-ups. I think great job by Scotch Plains Athletics having all this netting and fencing at Westfield. There's barely anything. Pretty dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. At just this level, the exit velocity, some of these hitters are just pretty great.
And here's another foul ball. That one's going to make a loud noise. Off the bleachers. Canavan staying alive on the 2-2 count. Getting very chilly. up here. Runners going. Canavan hits it to right. Arthur Chow underneath it to retire the side. 4-3 as we head to the 5th inning on opening day. Owen Kessler leading off the 5th inning for Westfield. Geisel still on the mound for his 5th inning of work. Kessler struck out looking and a single in his last at-bat. That was in the 3rd inning. Had a tremendous year at defensive end for Westfield.
Took kind of almost like a half swing there. Definitely tell that he regretted that past one.
Takes a low called strike.
Yeah, it looked like that was a pretty good frame behind the plate. And you get a little lesson here for framing here for catchers. Usually most of the time when it's a low pitch, you're going to try and kind of like pop it back up. It'll almost seem like the pitch kind of pop right back up in the strike zone.
Good piece of hitting from Kessler, and that'll fall for a leadoff base hit, his 2nd hit of the game.
Yeah, a little blooper, looked like kind of hit in the middle of the bat, but it worked because Warren wasn't able to get to it. And instead he gets a nice little blooper single.
Now Yarn will come out to talk to Geisel. Definitely a dangerous hitter up for Westfield with Jake Valvera. Had 2 home runs last season. Both left the ballpark. And he takes that one upstairs. Keep an eye on Kessler over at first. Not
Yeah.
much of a base stealer though.
Yeah, that wasn't a very misleading throw. He kind of just stood there and just kind of chucked it back at first. But like we saw before, Kessler gets this big lead.
Valvera hit to short hard, tough play, and they turn 2. 6-4-3 double play for the Raiders, and a great scoop at first base by Matt Fox.
Yeah, we were watching in warm-ups. Fox he didn't look like the best first baseman out there. It almost looked like the backup was doing a little bit better with the scoops at first base, but he certainly made up for it there, looking like the starter he is.
And give credit to Peter Warren at shortstop. That one took a late, rough bounce, able to stay with it and get the flip over to second. So 2-way really hurts Westfield's chances to score in this inning. Brings up Pancini. Took a called strike 1. Pancini pops it up to second base. And plays made to retire the side. 4-3, still your score. Scotch Plains in front as we head to the bottom of the 5th. So bottom of the 5th, and we have a new pitcher for West. So we saw Corey Hiltz warming up, and now he'll come in relief. You're in the bottom of the 5th. Hiltz, a junior lefty pitcher, 2nd year on varsity. And that one hit deep into center. Wolf can't make the play. It goes over his head, and this one's going to be trouble. Peter Warren will get to second base. That's got to be an error on Wolf.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we were talking about it before. If it touches the glove, certainly in my opinion, I think it's an error. And it looked like he was backtracking a little bit instead of almost like sidestepping. And, you know, usually when you do that, you just got to kind of run at a diagonal so you get the best speed possible. But like I said, he kind of backtracked there and kind of lost it. You know, there's no sun out here. I guess he just kind of lost it within the clouds. You know, it is getting a little bit dark, so I don't blame him there. But that puts a runner in a scoring position instead.
That pitch from Hiltz taken, ball 1 down low. This one hit weakly over to the right side, foul.
On the pitch that Warren hit, I can definitely tell Corey, you know, that the velocity wasn't pretty great there. You know, I think that's the one thing he can improve on, because I know he's accurate. It's just about kind of getting over the plate with some speed.
One pitch, breaking ball in the dirt. Makes it 2-1.
You know, I could tell Corey when he pitches from the stretch, he's almost at a disadvantage because, you know, instead of pitching from a regular windup in any situation, pitchers go to what is called the stretch, where they don't go through their full windup. But he's almost at a disadvantage.
This one
when he
hit
kinda
on the
kicks up
ground.
the leg.
Hiltz couldn't get over there in time. Got a glove on it to stop it. That was a tough play. Was running to his opposite side. And now runners on the corners with nobody out. Scotch Plains could break this thing open, do some damage. George Muller gets to first base. So Pancini goes 4 innings and gives up 4 earned runs. So last year went 5 innings, gave up 6 earned runs. So opening day hasn't treated Pancini so well in his varsity career, but we saw last year definitely able to bounce back, have a great year, and I think everyone expects the same.
Corey down in the count here at 2-0. He's got to pitch a strike here. 3-1 count's pretty dangerous for a hitter.
This one fouled off. Behind us again. Line drive in the gap. That's going to score 1. Muller rounding second, going to third. Close play, and they got him. So Westfield gets 1 out there. Good relay.
Yeah, that was certainly a great throw by Wolf. That was a laser beam in there at third. And, you know, what looked like a Raiders kind of run right there was ended on the perfect out by Westfield. I saw it was great base running by Yarnum. As he saw the ball come through to third, he was able to get second, because I saw he was hesitating to go to second or stay at first. But once he knew that throw was going to third, he was able to take it.
Yeah, it was a great relay, but still doesn't take away the fact big hit from Peter Yarn brings in a run, makes it 5-3. And Scotch Plains with a runner in scoring position, only one away, already up by 2. Could try to get an even bigger lead now. It's Matt Fox, the first baseman for the Raiders, had that good scoop on the double play earlier. 2 walks on the day for Fox. Hiltz throws back to second. McCourt there to cover. Now we see Alex Pancini went from pitcher playing second base. So Michael Knapp not in the game, I believe. This one popped up in fair territory. Leary's there, makes the catch for out number 2. Good play from Leary. Has to cover a good amount of ground. Was playing over to the right.
Was a good pop off the bat for Fox. Certainly a pretty good hit, and as we talk about, Leary really had to get to that one. You know, most of the time we talk about when it's his high fly balls, he's not lazy. He's going to get to the ball first before the ball gets to him.
2-way. Brings up Colin McAlden, had that big 2-run single. Pitch from Hiltz, low for ball 1.
Yarm, as I've seen and as we talked about, is a pretty good base runner. Knows that these lefties have these good moves when it comes to trying to get that second, that runner on second base.
And McAlden drills one in the gap. It's going to make it 6-3. He'll be held up at first base. That's a big hit from Colin McAlden, his 3rd RBI.
As we've seen in the past, the Blue Devils pitching rotation has just not been as stellar as it's been in the past. This is probably one of their biggest weaknesses that they have as a team. Because on the offensive end, they can certainly turn the ball game around, but it's really just about holding it on defense.
And this one is hit down the line. A lot of ground for Leary to cover, and it just hits the chalk to stay fair. Here's a throw home. And he was going to be called out, but Valabera lost the ball, and he's safe. Make it 7-3. You saw the umpire signaled out, but then realized the ball was on the ground, not in the hands of Valabera. And that's just an unfortunate play for Westfield right there. The ball was literally, we don't have incredible footage or HD close-up cameras, but looked like it just landed on the line. No way Leary could make that play there. And that breaks this thing open at 7-3 in the bottom of the 5th.
Hilt's definitely struggling on the mound. It was about 3 straight pitches that he had hits off of.
And this one hit in the same location, except it's going to be foul. There's a liner through the left side, and they're going to send him home. And safe again, 8-3. That was Sam Shatelik, the RBI single.
It seems like these Raiders are just having batting practice, pounding every single pitch that they get. And that's what I was talking about. Corey Hiltz doesn't have the speed that Pancini has, but he's got the accuracy. So it's almost like a perfect combination for a hitter. If the pitch is there and it's not too fast, hitters are able to drive it down the outfield, and that's basically all we've seen, fair or foul.
8-3 now, Scotch Plains. And this one's a blooper. It's going to fall. Another hit for Scotch Plains, and they're just having themselves a field day out here in this 5th inning. They've now scored 4 runs here in the 5th inning. So rough fifth inning here for Westfield. So a quick mound visit, I should say, for Westfield right there. Valver and Hiltz talk things over. We see Michael Knapp, who was playing second base earlier, warming up for Westfield. Will be the next pitcher in for the Blue Devils.
And Warren back up at the plate. Last time we saw him was not in a previous inning. It was this one. And looks like the Raiders have just batted around, and it's been a while since Blue Devils have had an out. I would say it's a pretty good take by Warren, noticing the fact that it was an off-speed pitch and it was also ending up in the dirt. So definitely able to wait on it. The experience, really shows here in the batter's box.
Another one in the dirt. Runners nowhere to go with the bases loaded. Big 2-out rally for Scotch Plains, and they're trying to make it even bigger. Threatening here with 2 outs in the bottom of the fifth. Already up by 5. They've put a 4 spot in the 5th inning, and that's a foul ball. Good play by the third base coach. Warren was the man who started the inning. He had that error from Kobe Wolf in center. And just think about it. Wolf makes that catch. This 2-out rally doesn't happen.
Looks like Corey's down to another full count. And just like that, the bases are loaded again. And if Corey doesn't get out of this, Blue Devils are in big trouble come the next half inning.
Merry-go-round was supposed to be in motion there, but it wasn't. But it's a walk, and that sends in a run. Make it 9-3.
Corey going to give up another run. To him, this inning must feel like it's about just as long as the game's been going on, maybe about 2 hours.
Check swing, it's fair. Wagner steps on the base, and that ends the inning. It was just on the line. The Scotch Plains first base coach not happy at all. And he's top of the 6th here in Scotch Plains, and Tim Geisel still on the hill. And first pitch fouled off by LaCourt. Fouled way back in there. Backyard of somebody's house. The Raiders put a 5 spot to make it 9-3 in that 5th inning. Real game changer. And it looks like Les Westfield could put together 6 runs in these next 2 innings. Raiders are going to take the W on opening day. Court leading the inning off. Senior, if you're just joining us, in first game in 2 years. And he strikes out swinging there. Gave up baseball to focus on basketball, where he's Westfield High School's all-time leading 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that swing I can tell was just kind of, he didn't really want it, but he kind of gave it all that he had. And it looks like he's going to take a seat because I don't see the Blue Devils really coming back.
Jake Leary at the plate. had a good day out in left field. This one grounded foul down the third baseline. 0-1 on Leary. And popped up foul.
Jake Leary down in the count, 0-2. Again, like I was saying before, got to expand the strike zone.
Lefty on righty, and he drills this one again, foul. He's made a lot of good contact today.
Yeah, he's definitely one who's going to stay in there and really battle with the pitcher. I remember last time he had a few foul tips and the foul swings, but he's definitely doing a good job of battling with the pitcher.
And he gets called for strike 3. So two-way here in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Brewster won't be happy with that, but you know, this is just the first game of many to come for this Westfield team.
Arthur Chow fouls that one off. Base hit in his first at-bat, grounded out last time. Geisel trying to complete his 6th inning and strike out the side here in the 6th. Already got LaCourt and Leary swinging. Leary looking, excuse me. It looks like Michael Knapp will be the next pitcher for the Blue Devils to go out in the bottom of the 6th. Hit hard up the middle. Good play by Peter Warren at short. As we head to the bottom of the 6th, 9-3 your score. Scotch Plains ahead. So bottom of the 6th, Michael Knapp, the junior on, and in his first varsity pitch, he gives up a base hit. Courtesy of Peter Yarm, having himself a fine opening day in his senior year. Catching behind the plate, couple of base hits for Yarm and an RBI to go along with that, and a walk. Doesn't look like we're going to need a bottom of the 7th this afternoon. Not sure what's up with the scoreboard. Was 9-3, and
Just shut off.
As I say that, they're going to fix it. Said read 8-4 just now, but score is 9-3, Scotch Plains. Colby Wolf, last one for Westfield to bring home a run on the solo shot. Ball gets away, and Yarm will just walk over.
You know, we've seen a lot this game. Jake Valbera has gotten balls getting past him, and I'm sure he's not going to take that lightly come next game, especially next practice. But I know this kid, he's going to work on that and make sure it doesn't happen ever again.
Good play by Victor Cruz, but off the bounce, Wagner couldn't reel it in, and he's going to be safe. Good hustle from Matt Fox.
Another first and third situation for the Raiders, and you know, I could just see, I could just see Fox just taking off, and that the Blue Devils not doing anything about it.
And this one popped up. Pancini makes the catch for 1 out. Brings up the pitcher, Tim Geisel. It'll be interesting to see if manager Joe Higgins will send Geisel out to for the complete game on opening day. Michael Knapp, the junior, on the hill for Westfield, making his pitching debut. No at-bats today. He had Owen Kessler as his DH. Knapp played second. Pancini came in to replace Knapp at second when Hiltz came in to pitch. Runners going. There's a throw from Valabera, not in time. Stolen base from Matt Fox. Second and third, 1 away. Bottom of the 6th, 9-3. Scotch Plains. Swing and a miss.
Just looking behind the plate, you know, how baseball works, usually catchers can make the call for what kind of pitch he wants. And usually right before the pitcher's going to throw, he wants a general direction where he wants to go. And Michael Knapp has been consistently going where Valbert wants the ball.
Good curveball right there from Knapp for his first varsity strikeout. As Geisel goes down looking. Brings up Sam Shatelik with 2 outs, runners on the corners here in the bottom of the 6th. Not much time left before it gets dark out. Good curveball from Knapp in there for strike 1. Second and third, runners on second and third, my mistake. Came over from the Fox steal. Real good game in those first 4 innings, Alex, but just the bottom of the 5th, the difference this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a bit back and forth for most of the game, and then once Corey Hiltz came in, he really struggled and wasn't able to get back in his groove. And like you were saying before, he gave up 5 runs as a result of it.
Raiders just they were reeling 5, 6, 7 hits in a row. They couldn't stop. Colby Wolf had the highlight of the day for Westfield. The solo shot. And Knapp gets a called strike 3 to end the side. 9-3 your score as we head to the top of the 7th.
We're back here, top of the 7th, top of the lineup. And Blue Devils are down 6 runs, but Michael and I both agreed that I don't think there's any chance that they really come back in this one.
And Tim Geisel still out there for Scotch Plains, so he's going to attempt to have a complete game W with only 3 runs given up. Kobe Wolf had the solo homer, as mentioned earlier, the highlight of the afternoon for Westfield. And it was a shot over the fence, over a high fence in deep left field. See Tavis Brunson, part of last year's team, had we'll definitely remember, Alex, the big triple he had against Dayton to get the school record 19th win in a row.
Yeah, that was a come from behind win. And again, as you said, pretty historic.
Hit hard at third, routine play, and Wolf is retired. Always shows great hustle. One of the fastest players. Mentioned his 10 stolen bases last year, had one today. And he's going to continue his baseball career next year at the Division III level at Gettysburg. So 1 away, 2 more to go, and this ball game is over. Brings up Victor Cruz. Cruz takes that one high.
So far it's been a pretty choppy game, I think, on both sides. And I think certainly Westfield's got some things to clean up, just looking into the near future.
Again, a tie, 2-0. Inside. Ball 4.
Look, I'll tell you what, it looked pretty good from here. I saw what Yarm was able to do with it. When it's an inside pitch and you're a righty thrower behind the plate, what you want to do is when it's on the right side of the plate from the pitcher's angle, you want to kind of curve it inside with your glove. And I saw he was definitely able to do that, but I guess it wasn't good enough.
And Wagner grounds it to second. Only plays at first. Good play by Sam Shatelik. 2 away as Wagner's retired. Cruz gets the second. Brings up Owen Kessler. 2 singles and a looking strikeout. Kessler 2 for 3 on the day. Westfield down 6.
He's got a big bat behind him.
And takes that one down the middle onto their final out of the ball game.
When you're a type of hitter like he is, and just the size that he has, I mean, the minute he turns on a ball, it's going to go even farther than Kobe Wolf's.
Pitch from Geisel fouled off. And Tim Geisel now just 1 pitch away from recording the complete game win. Westfield down to their final strike. 0-2 count on Owen Kessler. Cruz with a good lead at second. Taken upstairs, ball 1.
Kessler's still behind, and in order to stay in this game, really, with down the last strike, he needs to just kind of expand the strike zone personally and try to protect the plate at all costs. He doesn't want to go down. Doesn't want to go down looking.
And Kessler lines one right back at Geisel, who lets out a joy of emotion, who completes the shutout. Scotch Plains takes care of business on opening day, 9-3. And Alex, that 5th inning was key for Scotch Plains. They really broke this one open.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they just kept the bats moving. They were able to do pretty well in defense, but really it was on the offensive end that they really kind of just exploded in this game. As we saw, as Corey Hill struggled, these Raiders had an incredible rally with the 5 runs, and it seemed like they didn't have an out for an hour in that inning. Corey Hill supposed to felt like he was out there for a few days, and instead it looks like that the Raiders are going to come away with a win and start off the year pretty well at a record of 1-0.
And Westfield gets back at it tomorrow for their home opener against Cranford, 4 o'clock at Bob Brewster Memorial Field. We'll have that one for you. Thanks for joining us, everybody. For our cameraman, Glenn Warner, Alex Kingsley, I'm Michael Lennart saying so long from Scotch Plains Raiders. Take care of business on opening day.